Hello! Yay! Welcome! It's time for another live stream. Yay! And Takeda's here to say hello. Hello! So we're going to play today. Let me see. Let's get the chat up so we can see that there are people here. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see you all. Let's see. Let's pause this. Get the stream health to be a little bit better. I actually want to do something real quick. I need to go here, console. It'll take it a second to turn up, but I need to adjust the volume of this microphone just a little bit. So tad on the soft side. There we go. That's a little better. So I hope you all are well, staying safe, staying in your homes. I think we're on day 20 of our quarantine here in Portland. Actually, my voice is a little too loud now. We'll see, compared to this. I just want to make sure that we have the mix so that everything sounds good. Get my bass volume up. Right, what's my volume there? Oh, you're hot. Oh, we need to put a limiter on here. Pro L. There. And we can turn this down just a little bit. Don't need to be quite that hot. Welcome. So there's a couple things I want to cover in this live stream today. And then I also have a couple treats. I'll show you what we're working on for the future. It's really insane. By far the biggest update yet. And it has some really pretty amazing repercussions. But that will be at the end. We're not going to start there. I hope you all are doing well. Let's see what's going on. Big E. Yeah. Last night, so what started and sparked this whole thing is last night, Big E lives here in Portland, and I'm kind of his tech guy to go to and help him get stuff set up. And he hadn't set up Unify yet, so we set it up together. And I realized when going through after it was installed, and I'm telling him, try this patch and try this patch. And I realized I haven't done that with you guys to say, here's how you use this. Here's how you use this. There's so many patches that have unique things to them that are special. And I want to make sure you guys see them, notice them, and know how to play them to get the most out of the patches in these 436 patches that come with Unify. So we're going to go through the library. I'll play it some, and I'll explain what's there and how to modify it. Give you a few of the tips that I showed Big E to make sure everybody is getting the most out of Unify. Because there's some really fun stuff you can do here that hasn't been available in this way before. So it's a fresh take on stuff for sure. Also, we're going to get into the AIRWAVE library. We're going to take some of the big things here and we're going to pull them apart. And we're going to look at what is happening in each of the Serum plugins that makes it do what it does. Kind of an exploratory, we're off on an exploration today. Yes, that's what we're doing today. And see how they work. What makes this work? What makes that work? How come it sounds so great when it's all put together, you know? So we'll be looking at that. But welcome to all of you. It's so good to see so many of you here. Maybe add a comment section for each patch. I'm getting a phone call. So say no thanks. There is a comment section for each patch. And I added comments throughout, but you know, a lot of people don't read documentation or comments. I'm learning because we have, I do probably a good number of email per day that are tech support related for people that don't read because the information is all documented, but they don't read. So we're all here except John. Dave, what does that mean? My gosh. Oh, good to see everybody here. Yeah, I love to see all that happy welcomes. It's like a reunion. Yeah, read the manual. Right on, Tom. A lot of people don't do that. It's amazing. So we're gonna go through. There's definitely some things here that are interesting and tricky, and I just want to make sure that everybody gets the chance to explore these and see kind of the ideas behind some of the stuff in Unify. So let's see. Okay, I'm not going to look at my phone when it pops up. I hate when it pops up notifications. You just have to like, oh, what was that? You know, it's like, yeah, go away. So to start with, in the bass category, these are pretty straightforward. What's good with these when you're playing patches is open the sampler and see what was used to make it. And you'll notice it says saw. And this is a really dark patch, right? That means there's a lot of brightness on the mod wheel. See the mod wheel? And I have lag on some of these so that it grows slow. If I turn lag off, it just jumps up and down. But I wanted to show the lag. And then you have slow stuff. So if you need to be fast for some, and it's not fast enough, then you would go to this lag parameter and make it a smaller value. That will make it travel faster. And if you want to get brighter, here's your intensity. Right? If you want to add some pitch LFO, you can go right here and okay, so study the patches. Don't be afraid to double click on the names of the plugins. You can see what's going on. This is the loudness plugin. I love this because it just emphasizes the pure tone. So here's without. Here's with. And you might be like, well, that's not that big difference. But actually in a mix, that much more focus on the low end makes it stick out in the mix really nice. Okay. There's growls and things like this. These are from AIRWAVE. These are using Guru Sampler. And a lot of these I have muted a sine wave. So if you unmute the sine wave, there's more emphasis on the tone. Plus you could open up that Guru Sampler and bring up the sustain. So it stays sustaining. And I'm kind of doing this slow. So if you are at your computer, you can follow along. Some of these I'll say, try this out. So if you can, do this while you're at your computer with Unify up and kind of follow along. Because I want to make sure that you guys are able. Now, some of these like this one, it's not muted. So I wanted a bass to be in there. But if you want just a stab, mute the sine wave. Do the opposite. Now you just... It really depends on what you're doing in the song, whether you want it to be sustaining or not, right? So I snuck in this sine wave on a lot of these patches. Here's one without it. Turn it on. So it's there if you want it. It's not if you don't want it, just depending on what you do to this second layer. It's a sine wave in a lot of these patches. So okay, and a res down. This is one, kind of the Thomas Dolby. What's up, dude? Been feeling from the heart. Our resonance can do that. Actually, it's in a sample from Anna Rez. Cool. Okay, and we need to turn off notifications because those are going to drive me batty. See, what are you guys talking about? Aliens Ate My Buick. Absolutely. Classic record. Thomas Dolby, Aliens Ate My... Is that... Aliens Ate My Buick, I think is the name of the album. Is one of my favorite albums. I was working in a music store in Seattle when that came out. And I don't think I can play the chords, but let's see if I go to the bass splits. Such great chords. Anyway, so Budapest by Blimp is just incredible. Learn those chords. Those chords are wonderful. So there's other patches. Now this is an example of a big sucker. Yeah, Budapest by Blimp. Love Budapest by Blimp. So now this is one that's getting complex because you see this is using 5 layers. So what's fun here is learning about your right click. If you have a mouse with 2 buttons, try using the right click on the solo button because you could be playing and using the right click, it will turn off the previous solo and turn on the other solo, which is really cool. Normally you'd have to go like this and turn that one off, and you'd go up here and turn that off. If you right click, you can just solo very quickly through the layers to hear who's doing what. Then you hear it all together by just hitting the right click again and it's off. So learn about right click on the solo, or control click will do the same thing. Control click, and it turns off solo and turns on solo on the next layer. Hey Harold, good to see you, buddy. So that's a cool trick. Make sure you're familiar with that part of Unify. When you get to these bigger things and there's a whole lot of stuff going on, it's cool to be able to just control click and study the parts. We'll do more of that as we go. NATO. These are cool, big. These sounds are going to be really cool in the library I'm working on, which I wish I can show you a little bit about what I'm working on. We'll do that towards the end. I'll show you this. I'll give this. This is a clue. This is my studio. And you see all these drums, they've all been sampled for what's coming. So it's insane. A lot of these have a sub bass that's muted. And we have the loud max at the output so it doesn't go above 0 dB. It's full, it's hitting at max. Here's one where I wanted it thin. Turn on hit the mute here, and now you have a sub bass. Right? So there's all sorts of cool basses. These are drones. And let's look at a way to use this. Because it'd be cool to have a pad with this, right? So let's go to Instrument, to the quick loading, and say empty Unify. So I can open this up and I can choose a pad from the factory library. So go Unify standard library, go down here to the pads, and like find something like Trouble with Tribbles. And maybe we don't want the drone, which is these two, the first two layers. So what we would do is this. You'd right click on the low, let's see, on the high, because we want this to be the bass part. So right click and hit B, right click and hit B. And then I want this new patch to only play from the C next to it. So I hit the low note and C. So now you can see there's light green indicating that this drone has been limited to from up to B. When I hit C, I might want to turn this down. Then if you like this, go save, go to the user library, and I'm gonna add split, so it's the bass split, and NATO, let's say the night opera, night watcha with the 3 in it, and we'll go save as. And we can save this now into the factory. It's already set. It's picked out the folder, so I just have to do is hit save. Now, I want to explain something about saving in our libraries. This is something that some people have written about. The name of the patch in Unify can be different than the name. I could go over here, and now I could put all sorts of weird incidentals. Like I want to have it like this, and then I want to have like some of that stuff on the other side. If I wanted to save it this way, if I save this to my hard drive with those characters, it's going to cause all sorts of problems with operating systems. But when I go save as, check this out. I can still go to the name and save it over that patch, replace. So the name on the computer hard drive is named without the extra characters. And if I say reveal in Finder, it will pop it up and you'll see that the name is just Night Watcher like this. So be aware of this ability. It's a special ability that most plugins don't let you do. We did this on purpose so that I could do stuff like this. We could do stuff, maybe we'll add all sorts of other characters, emojis, who knows what, that you could put into patch names that don't have to reflect in the name on your hard drive on your computer. It's a unique ability and it's confusing sometimes. We have a fix there's a character case where if you save two of it with the exact same name but two different files on the hard drive with different names, it causes problems, but we have a fix for that coming. So we're aware of that problem and we're going to fix it. But the fact still remains, we have it so that you can have crazy names. When you go to the user library, there's this name now with all these cool characters and stuff. The name on the actual hard drive can be different. So that confuses people sometimes because of that flexibility, but it's unique, okay? Yeah. Oh, Sonny. Hey, Sonny. He's got some cool stuff happening. Yes, he does. We'll talk about that in a bit. All right, after the basses, we get to bass splits. And for the most part, these are they work as expected. We've used the MIDI filter so that the bass has sustain, and the piano does, but the pitch bend doesn't affect the piano. So I can do stuff with the pitch bend on the bass, but not the piano. There's some cool synthy ones in here. Again, you hear the lag, the slow opening of the filter. That's through GUI Sampler for the sounds on the right hand, which is right here. The lag is turned on. So stuff like that is going on. These are pretty straightforward. Road to Klimbaville is cool. Again, you can right click on solo to hear who's doing what, which is really cool. Bells are pretty straightforward. We don't need to spend too much time on them. When we get to the ARPs, this is where all sorts of different things are experimented with virtually every one of these. This is the amazing knob switcher. This is one where the mod wheel lets me cycle and there's all places to go from here. You could go right here and start loading up all your own plugins for each layer. You could go to the blue ARP, and if you hit chord for some of these, and if you go to some of the other intervals, like this would be the fourth, so it plays the fourth note. Oh, that would be done right here. Right? So it can go all sorts of cool places with this. You could have where you have ties. Right? Ties. So we go to here, the type. So you can play with the timing values. This is the area that shows you what the arpeggiator is doing. You can click here if you want to have different velocities. Or durations, click right here. Here's short durations. Right? So all of these parameters, you can click on the names of these and see what they are in the blue ARP. And the blue ARP is right here in yellow. This is the MIDI file player that we have. Well, that's not a MIDI file player. This is our arpeggiator. So, and if you go here, this is the melody. So, now, if you start playing with scale steps, be aware that that's where playing chords and stuff kind of stops. If you play a chord, right? If you're using these intervals and changing for it's more an assumption you're going to do a melody. Because if you play chords now, it's a lot trickier. It's like, if you worked at it, you could get it to where you were doing, you know, octaves. And if you're just playing between octaves, it sounds pretty good, right? You know. Because the octaves means it's playing the same notes that you're playing in your chords. But once you start getting into these middle intervals, you need to be really careful with what you play, what you choose. Otherwise, it just gets to be like, you know, old mushy soup, right? Don't want that. So that's a little bit on the blue ARP with these. I'm going to have this cycle so it's playing at the tempo. Sicker Than a Dog. Oh, wait. That needs to go to the... Yeah, this is like... This is using the new poly box to cycle between the first 4 sounds. These guys right here. And then on top of that... Okay. Another one that, let's see. Show MIDI layers. Sometimes when we save a patch, we have this set to hide MIDI layers. So even in this view here, you don't see the parameters of a MIDI effect. So if that's the case, if you see this and you want to edit it, you need to go to layer, and there's an option right here that says show MIDI layers. So if you do that, it allows us to compress it, because we realized when we get some of these going and there's like 8 arpeggiators, we wanted a way to collapse that so you could see more information about the layers and auxiliary buses and stuff like that, and not about the MIDI art, right? Cool, you guys are doing some fun stuff. There's some BPM drum stuff here that AIRWAVE did. This is fun stuff where you've got pitch and noise. You could add effects to these different parts. Like if you want this part here to have cool reverb. Put a delay on this. Go the power curve, get some distortion going. Whoa! High pass filter it. Right? So it's really fun to go to these. This is your insert effects right here, and you can add all sorts of cool things. Go to this, find the pitch of the drum. Change the duration, the parameters to make it sound different. See, this is the snare part. Let's put delay on that. If you do delay and it's rhythm stuff, make sure you hit sync. So there's all sorts of fun tricks with these kind of things to play with. The piano dancers are a series of using velocity. Well, this first one's not. It comes later. This is using a pump house right here. And I think I gave you the intensity. No, I didn't. Well, if you go to the macro number 2, let's go over here to the master, to the effects, pump house, and say depth. So now I can bring this up, and if I bring it up, or lessen it back down. So you can have things like that to control the pump house, which is on the master. I believe this is using pump house. Here's without pump house. Turn on pump house, and it makes the rhythmic part. So you can go to the rhythmic part, look at it, change the shape. You can get weird if you want. It's sample accurate, so it's following clock, so you can do some crazy things here if you're into the glitchy world. Like, listen to that. Pretty cool. All right, so these go on. The chord dance is where we get to the things like this is really fun, where velocity. This is before we had our little poly box. This is using velocity up here. From all the same velocity, it's all the same sound, right? So you could do stuff like this just by changing velocity. You've got these different layers to play with. So you can play around and find all sorts of cool variations from these that you're using velocity to change things. It goes on and on. There's so many of these that have fun things in them. This is one they're using Pump House for. So you can look just at all the effects and go, here's Pump House. It's always easy to just hit bypass to turn off certain effects to see what it sounds like without them, right? Now, I don't think I set it up, but you could go over here, link parameters, go to instrument 1, and go to the effect for the Pump House for the depth, and give it the full range, and then go to instrument number, it looks like 6. Instrument 6, effect, Pump House, depth, and do the same thing. So now I have this knob now, and I could double click to name it Pump House Pump Depth, right? Or something like that. So here's without. To 100%. I think. Yeah. And as you change this, we have this up so you can see it. And again, if you want to save it so it's that way, you go save, put it to the user library, Pump House, Nirvana, put your initials by it or something like that, and hit save as. And it always defaults over here, so save as. And now you have an edit which has this ability with, you've added some knob assignments to it, right? So nice to do stuff like that. As we go through the list, you get to the AIRWAVE stuff. These are really fun to pull apart. This has 5 different MIDI effects playing different parts, and they're named so you can see the kick, hi-hat, hats down, MIDI effect 5, which is being used. What's MIDI 5 on the clap? So you can open this up. Bring down the velocity. There. Go to the kick pattern right here. Maybe make it instead of 8. Right here are your parameters for this arpeggiator. And right here for steps, it's a click here to increase the size of the arpeggiator length, or this side to diminish it. So let's make it 16 steps, and it's a resolution of 1/16. This you can't click to change, but you click and it pulls down a menu where you can say what you want. 16th is fine, so I could go. And again, you go velocity. Go back to step type. So you can change the patterns up pretty easily. hi-hats. It's 16th notes, right? Makes look at maybe an 8-step pattern, so we could go have a little break here and there. Or make it 16. Go to the velocity. Right? So it's fun to play with the parameters to make it your own. You don't have to have it be default, just whatever it is. Everything here is free to play with. So I want to make sure you guys are cool with all that. Hey, Tim, good to see you. All right, so let's keep going down the list. There's so much here to play with. Many of these, it's just a matter of calling it up. And then right click or control click. To see who's doing what. And you can see over here by the names too. Sub bass. See something. So you get the idea of all the stuff you can do. Again, playing through these and right-clicking. Here's one. Let's use 4 layers. So by analyzing these, you can look at it and go, oh, well, maybe I could replace this guy. Here's the main chord right here, right? So let's go to the layer presets and change this to be something else. Maybe a plucky flute. And I like that up accent. Maybe I want that to be a drum sound. So let's go to Groove Sampler to one of the kits. And then open up the kit and make it unpitched. And then go through the cycles. Because we now have the ability with 1.0.12 to call up a drum kit and now just use one of the samples from the drum kit. Here's all the samples in this drum kit. So I can... Maybe I want that and I want to high pass filter it. And then I want to duplicate that to be something else. So there's something else with it. So you hit duplicate the layer. And then let's replace this one with being a synth sound. Maybe from analog, from something like a cool detune pad. Oh, but you need to follow the rules, dude. Let's see here. Let's go fast and short release. Oh, you're not playing quite, but I expect you to be doing. Oh, that's the filter. No wonder. Duh. Okay. Down here. VCF envelope. Or maybe I want to tune the tambourine to a different pitch, so go over here to the chorus. And then I could look, this is MIDI effect 1. So I could go up here and instead of being like, So I doubled it. This is too loud, so just by doubling a part, changing one of them to be a drum sound, I went in and I set it to unpitched, and I went down the list of all the different drum samples to find a drum sound I want. Very cool. So let's save that. I'm going to give you guys all these sounds at the end of the this live stream. I'll give you a link to download all of them. So let's save this to the user area and cool live stream variation. Save as, and it pops up. We say save. So that's one way to take this air stab chord sequence, and we totally changed it from this right BPM synths down here to synth to this. So it's really fun, and I want you guys to, just so you know, the patches in the factory library, you cannot overwrite them. So you can call them up and change anything you want, and it's not going to affect anything else. It's not going to break it, so it can't be recalled back, because you can't overwrite these patches. We protected them, so you can't overwrite them, so you can do stuff like this. You can experiment in different ways with what's here, right? So hopefully that gives you guys some tips. Yeah, the Synth Motions library, I should point those out. The latest Tuesday tips that just came out. Here we go. Right here, Synth Motions from particular sound. There's 3 libraries now for Unify. There's our own AIRWAVE library we'll look at later. Oh, let's see. Synth Motions. Right here. It comes with 1.2 gigabytes of new samples. So there's a lot of stuff. He loaded his own samples, which is something you're capable. You can do it. It's in the manual online how to do it. But it uses text files. You have to do a lot of editing of text files, which he did. Most of them have like 3 or 4 samples across the keyboard. Some really nice stuff. And then there's also, if you go here to Unify, there's also the drum edition, which is drum grooves. And it comes with new samples of vintage drum machines, Lin, DMX, or DX. And I believe it's only $10. So it's a pretty great deal to get. So you can enjoy those. It's particular-sound.de. And then our own lovely library is on pluginguru.com. And that's the AIRWAVE library, which is right here. And it's $39 and comes with 245 patches. People are loving it. There's some nice reviews. Everybody's 5-star reviews. So thank you for those of you leaving reviews. That helps people out greatly, and I appreciate that. Of course, Frank, good to see you, my friend. So as you can see, these are made to be messed up. And again, you can't break them. You call up something like this, right? You can change it all around. You could say replace this with something from here. Like that's a cool sound. So let's go find a plucky thing for that. Let's go to DX to go plucked. And one thing with DX, I keep pointing this out. In the bottom left corner, when you double click DX, here's the interface for DX. In this bottom corner is cart. Every one of those banks that we have here, each one of these that say a bank for DX, each one of these has 32 patches in it. So when you call this up and you hit cart, you can play it. And then go over here and tune it up. Put it through a delay. Turn on some chorus. And if it's playing too bright, you can either edit FM, which is painful, to go in here and find the output levels. Here's a couple tips. See where it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? That's an on and off switch for each of these 6 operators. And if you look at this, this is showing you the 6 operators, these little boxes. Each one equals an operator or an oscillator, but in FM, they beat up on each other. But you're only hearing 1 and 4. So if I go to 4 and turn this off, this turns off 5 and 6. So you don't hear those. So now you only hear 1, 2, 3. And then here's your output level for 2. That's brighter. I like that better. Turn off 1. Now turn on 4. Let's change the frequency. Did I turn back on? I didn't. There, now 1's on. Maybe that's gonna fit the mix better, right? And maybe you want this to be more modern, so you can go over here to Dynamics at the Pump House. Go to the presets by hitting load. Let's choose a sidechain. Right? So that's a very different. One nice thing with Logic is I can go over here, I can say copy this. I could revert. Here's where we were. Hit paste and so let's save that. Go Harp Insanity, JL. Live stream variation. And again, I'll give you a Dropbox link when we're done with the live stream with all of these. So let's go save. And oh wait, I almost messed up. I want to change the library to the user library so that it saves to the user library. Save as. And I'll just keep the same name. I'm not worried about that. So as you can see, now this is one of the new ones we did with Polybox. This is crazy because this is 16 layers plus a pad plus a kick drum. So there's 18 layers. If you look at it in this view, it stacks it so you can see everything. By the way, we have 2 views. This is a good one to do it on. When you go toying with FM, there's no way, I don't think on this screen I can scrunch it. Yeah, even full screen, I still can't see any parameters in this view. The accordion, I'll go back. In the accordion view, I can't see the parameters to edit it. So we made 2 views. This is called the scrolling layer stack. And what that means is it will make it so you have a scroll bar over here. So if you're going to be making something rather monstrous like this, where there's a whole lot of stuff going on, now you can scroll. And now there will always be, no matter how small I scrunch this to its smallest size it will get, it still leaves you the parameters to open up the editors and to see the volumes and the mute and the solo and the auxiliaries and everything. So you can use this view and scrunch it as small as you can and still see everything. And this is one that's really fun with a controller. Here's the pad. So even in the smallest view, you still can see this massive 18 patches and auxiliaries and master effects and so forth. So be aware of the two different views, because there will be times where you really need to have this other view to see everything, right? Okay. Drum kits are pretty straightforward. These are... Now there's a difference between the Beast kit and then the different glitch versions. I took these and we have all sorts of cool parameters for randomizing and short decays and envelopes. This one here, I have random. And in version 1.0.12, random is only going in the positive direction. The next update, it will go in both directions. Because right now you can't get back to the attack. It only goes from wherever you set this later in the sample. We realized it was doing that and wanted to fix that, so we corrected that for the next update that's coming, which I will show you at the end. I'll show you a little bit about what we're working on. It's super cool. So these drum kits, there's both glitch as well as, so if it says glitch, then that means it's messed up. Versus super pop. Right? Environment is just that. These are environmental sounds. They get really cool when you play down low. So you can take these guys and actually crank them lower. And they make really cool things for filtering. Especially if you go to the higher decibel filters. Go over here, get random for the LFO to cut off. And get cool stuff like that going on. Okay. There's rains, there's monkeys. Again, these were recorded in Costa Rica a couple years ago. It's so cool. Unless you're waking up to this at 5 in the morning. Got a little noisy at times. There's some cool effects. Play with the knobs on these because there's some cool stuff you can do. And these are cool things to put into even a chill groove or something like that, to have these kind of cool fading in and out through a groove is really fun. And if you want, you could look. This is one of those where you need to make this wider so you can see what's going on filter-wise. But you could go to the filter here and bring up the resonance. So and the gain's all the way up to make it have kind of a distorted vibe. Right? So these are fun to play with. The guitars are pretty straightforward. This is the one that I always show for the one thing that's really fun. Once you've played with Unify for a little while and you're familiar with the library that it comes with and the patches, then it's time to go to the plugin page. A lot of you guys do this the first thing you get Unify. It's almost a mistake. You should spend some time, get to know the patches that are in Unify before you do this. But once you go here, you can scan your plugins. Another tip, if you don't want to scan all your plugins, you can actually just load your plugins one at a time. Just to say, I want to like access just a couple. So what you do on the Mac, it's right here. You would go over here to Library, Audio, Plugins, VST, and just take maybe your favorite couple plugins and just drag them over. You don't have to have it scan all 500, or in this case, it's 431 VST plugins. You don't have to have it do that. It's almost easier if you like let it just be like a relationship. You know, week 2, you've got 3 plugins. You know, in 6 months you've got all 400 plugins because you've got all sorts of stuff you want to have access to everything. But maybe just load over Absinthe or Serum or Omnisphere, whatever your favorite plugins to work with. All you have to do is grab the one that you want. Like say it's Omnisphere. Just take it, drag over here, and let go. And when you're on the GNOME plugin page, that equals load this plugin. So you can immediately load it. It's immediately loaded. You can close, and now you could go add an extra layer and make it empty. And then go down here. I'm going to go to my favorites because I have Omnisphere here. But if you were to look, the swap, all instruments will always show you all the plugins, including the ones that come with Unify, are in this list. So in my case, I have to scroll down to Spectrasonics, Omnisphere. This is the way it normally looks in most DAWs. But we have these plugin, what are called subsets, and you can make your own with your favorite plugins. I made my own, and I put Omnisphere in here. So I can choose Omnisphere. I could go to a library and take a second to load. I could go to like Signs of Life or something like that, a library that's really fun, and go to something I wanted to layer with this guitar sound, right? So let's go down here looking through guitars and maybe Flamenco Dream. So this is using this sound and this sound together. It's a cooler sound with the two than it is with just one by itself. Right? So it's fun to introduce your plugins. A lot of these guitar patches, the bell patches, the wind patches are really cool for this kind of stuff. If you go to some of the wind patches, they're really cool. Like I Met Pan. Go to unit here, say add an empty layer. Let's say we want to use Omnisphere again. This time it'll load really fast. And we could go over here. Let's say we want to go to Mega Magic Violins or something like that. And we could say, find some cool pad to layer with and let's tune this up. And say you love this as the pad you want to call up again. You can hit save, save it to the user library or start a new library, my favorites or works in progress or an album project name or whatever you want. And then save it. And next time you call it up, it will load Omnisphere, load the patch, and get you set to have this. Right? Okay. So the whole idea of augmenting these 436 patches with other plugins is part of the grand design of this. It's like, yes, this is cool by itself. But if we wanted to add an empty layer and add zebra to this, right? Go to the presets and maybe some like oh, that'd be cool. And let's do this. Let's limit that just to like this lower octave. Let's do this. Let's go to Unify's EQs to what's called the filter max and high pass filter. And let's add a delay. And let's bring up the resonance on this. And who's super low? You're super low. Okay, Tyrell's pad, OBXD. Let's filter that too. So just go filter max. Right? You can start building, and this can go so many dangerous places. Say duplicate, and instead of this one, find another BPM patch. So go presets. Let's go to all. He has these funny names for him. I think it's Lupins. You know? So, exploring and introducing your plugins to do it, augmenting the existing patches is... I'll save this, but you have to have Zebra to make this work, okay? Tyler's Demise, JL. Let's say Zebra 2. Library. By the way, happy birthday, Fiona. My girlfriend's daughter has her birthday today. Yay! So we'll save that. And Takita, you saying happy birthday to Fiona? Happy birthday, Fiona! So yeah, if it says Zebra 2 in the name, hopefully that's pretty clear that you need to have Zebra 2 for it to work, right? So that kind of stuff. Now, last thing I want to show you a couple of things. The latch patches are a special set of factory patches. There's, I think, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And are you thirsty? There's 6 of these, and these use a unique feature that I really love in Unify, and that's mono latch. And what's cool with mono latch is that my breath is getting stale, so I'm chewing gum and drinking water. What's fun with these is that they have something set to latch, which means you play a note and it lasts forever. Better flavored breath. Okay, so this, as you can see by looking at this, is a split. There's some sounds in the light green area to the right, And then there's this green glowing L to the sounds that are in the light color on the left. So that means that latch, see how it says LM? If you have MIDI effects, then below raw MIDI, you see MIDI effects to choose. But above raw, which is the normal MIDI input where everything that comes in continues through the chain, above that are two different latch modes. And poly latch mode is similar to what you find in some sense where it's polyphonic and you can play chords, but then you have to play all those notes again to make them stop. Mono latch is unique in that you play one note. You don't play chords, it's one note, right? When I take my hand off this note, it didn't get a note off. It's still ringing out. So all of these BPM these latch patches work in this unique kind of new way. And you can move the mod wheel. And it might change some things in the sounds, right? And then above, as you can see from here, it says B2. So anything from C3, I can play with the sustain pedal, all the notes I want. And the latch still plays because it's on separate layers that don't care what these other three layers are doing. Or what key you're playing, right? If I want to change the left hand, I just have to play another note with one finger. I played E and F at the same time, so it's actually playing F, for those of you at home playing and keeping score. Right? And play B flat. Use the mod wheel. Really fun. It's a cool way to play. Now, to stop it, you either play F again and don't have the sustain pedal on, or you can use this little circle right here. This is our all notes, all MIDI effects that are coming in the future, off. Hit that and it's the same as hitting stop in something for it. And your tempo, well, we're not going to get into tempo for this stuff, but we'll get to later. When we get to the next thing that's coming and for the BPM stuff, then you have your transport here for your tempo, to change tempo, right? Now, one of these called Piano Rain works a little differently. See how you can look at these and read them. It's good to learn how to read. The light green means that these areas are active only up until B5. And then from C6 up, is La Fortuna, Gentle Rain. So if I play high C, oh, is it C5? Ah, yeah, C5. My keyboards, did I transpose something here? Oh, this is supposed to be like that. And then it would work. C6. Right? Let's see if we say all off. Anyway, if you play C, let's put it back to C5. C5. You get the rain, which is on a latch, and then you can play. And the piano inside of Unify is very nice. But there are nicer pianos, of course, because this is a lot of memory, not a lot of samples. If you wanted, you could go to your favorites. Oh, I don't have it there, so we'd go down here. You could go to Contact. Let's say Native Instruments. Contact. We'll use the latest, so it's Contact 6. I think that's required. We could call up the Noir, which is a wonderful piano, or your favorite piano from wherever it comes from. Oh, nice. Library, Noir. Let's play the pure piano. So it takes it a few minutes to load up. And their volume is always very soft, so crank this up a little bit. Now, since I've replaced this layer, it's still going through the Klang Falter, which has got this really cool... It's actually a trash bag that I crinkled. So that's still there. So you can have that play. And now you have... You have Noir in the piano. And of course, one of the unique things with Noir is you can open up and go to these presets. And some are really cool. These particle ones. Let's go to clap. Come on, clap. Hello. It's a little CPU hit. Gamelan Grand. So they have this cool system over here on the effects. Actually, right here, these particles are playing all over the place. And you can choose the density, color, delay. You know, so all your instruments that you own and samples you own can be replaced with what this has as its startup. So if this piano is a little, you know, simple and you want... If Keyscape's your favorite, if there's a sample library that's your favorite, it's really easy just to go to the piano, go right here, say swap with anything that you own and replace it. So that opens up all sorts of possibilities to create and customize these the way you want. Other ones of these, like this one, this is another crazy one, but it has 6 different parts that are latched. And as you look, you can see the transpose. They're set all over the place so that when you play, it plays a chord. And here's another one where that right click or control click is really handy. It's up. I'm changing the pitch of the chord. Now I'm going to right click on one solo or control click and it turns them all off. And then the right handy nice lead. Okay, so the latches are really special. There's going to be a lot more of this type of exploration in what I'm building now. And we didn't get to any of the Techno library, did we? My goodness. Right? I tell you what, we'll save that for next week because I can't cram a whole lot on the Techno library into 15 minutes. But next week, we're going to take a look at the AIRWAVE patches and pull them apart and recreate new things. So there's one example, and in the Tuesday tips video, I show this. And then in the comments, there's a tip to go download this. If you want to download this, I'm going to say show MIDI layers so you can see the effects. But let's get to 120 beat. Right? So I take this if you solo each of these parts, you notice that every drum sound, everything is made by Serum. So it's pretty easy to go into Serum itself and look to see what's going on. It's pretty fun to change the different waveforms. Try different types of synthesis. So you can customize the sounds of everything. The kick drum. Get more attack by bringing up the pitch of the attack. Let's look at the envelope for the decay and just let's grab this and oh, that's the hold. So just decay. So you can customize everything. It's crazy. So just go down the list. Go to the bass. Oh, this is using Guru Sampler. Ah, let's use Serum. So go favorites. Or Zebra. Why not? Let's have fun. Go to the presets. Go for the basics. That'd be fun. Maybe add a cool delay to it. Get to be distorted a little bit. Right? So you can pull these apart, and if you get up to the MIDI effects themselves, the blue arps and so forth, you can take this from that to, where's Jamin Man? So this is the same multi, but slowed down, and not even slowed down. It's the same tempo, but I've changed what's playing. Now we're in Jamaica. I need a guitar on the upbeats, you know. But in the Tuesday tips, that just number 6, there's a link if you want to download this preset. It's there for you to download. And also, if you buy the 2 libraries that I showed you at the beginning for the Synth Motion, he has the Synth Motion patches are great for cool retro stuff, and then the Drum Edition is cool retro drums. There's 5 RetroWave patches that use those 2 libraries together. Oh, you know what? It probably... Right, it's not playing the samples. Hold on one second, we'll fix that. I'll show you this. So I got to go over here to Unify, because I pulled these libraries out just before we started the stream. I didn't want them in the list, but we'll go over here and say add those back to here, refresh the browser. Then we can go back here to the user library, and now they will play. So so if you want to do cool retro stuff, Knight Rider. Right? There's 5 of these that I just put drum patches that are the grooves with the patch that has the bass and the split stuff that he's made. So it's... Who's watching me outside? So if you love the 90s and that kind of stuff, No hands, plays the whole progression. Let's dance. So all 5 of these are bonus there's a link to download them. And finally, number 5. Cool stuff. All new samples, new drum samples, grooves. And these bonus retrofy, these are combining the 2 libraries together. They're in the tips, Tuesday tips number 5 in the description. There's links to download these. But again, you have to own both the drums edition and this synth motion library that were made. And then you're rocking out, right? How did you play number 3? 3 was... sustain pedal. Yeah, 80s, man. Cool stuff. So those are available for Unify as well as AIRWAVE's library. Do you guys want to see a little bit of what we're working on? I'll give you just a few minutes, just a little graphic tour. I'm not going to make any sound come out, but let's go over here. Unify is going to look a little different with the next update in a good way. Here it is. So you see anything different? I'll give you guys a minute. What do you see that's different? I'll wait to see if there's any. Well, I'll just go ahead and tell you. So one of the things that we're doing with this next version is rather epic on the epic scale. And that is we are putting a MIDI effect in every layer. Every instrument layer will now have a MIDI effect available. And the reason is because we're going to introduce the ability to have really cool groove stuff going on. Like you wouldn't believe. This is a MIDI. So if we go to the show the MIDI effects layer, see how they're yellow? So this is the same yellow. I could go over here. Here's the MIDI effects that are coming. We've got what's called MIDI box. And this is a MIDI file player. So I could go over here and I could say, give myself Guru Sampler. And I could choose from the bonus library. Let's just choose a drum kick. It's not going to sound quite right. It might even sound wrong. But let's say Beast. And then if we go to the MIDI player and we go, I need to go actually up to here to Cloud City. This is the library I'm working on that comes with MIDI files for all sorts of things. Let's go drum kit, hip hop, hit play. Like I said, it doesn't sound right. But it's playing a MIDI file inside of Unify. And if you turn on MIDI, then it plays when you play a note. And I don't think I have it quite synced up right. Let's see here if we go over here and slow this down. Well, I can't show it. I don't want to show it because there's chance of it's not set up right. We're still developing. It syncs. It's playing incredibly well. I'll give you one taste of some of the stuff. I showed you this picture at the beginning that I've been sampling, all these different instruments and stuff. This is just one of the places we can go. The library is going to be called Cloud City. And it's basically chill, ambient, urban, and hip hop, all sorts of stuff like that. But a big part of it, and Sunny has been a really important part of this. If you guys might not know, Sunny Hartley is one of our regular customers. He's a friend of mine that I've gotten to know pretty well in the last week or two, right? But this is, let's see, maybe this photo here. This is Sonny in Arizona. He makes his own flutes and then plays them. And he's an incredible player. And so he has been sampling himself. Oh, let's do this. We got to turn off this. So we're going to have these types of samples. We're going to have these types of grooves. So cool. And then a hip hop drum groove over the top of this and all sorts of cool things. I spent last night, I'll show you something that's kind of fun I was working on. We also have a whole bunch of vocal chops that will be in here. Another one of my customers in, like the Seychelles or someplace far away has, he writes operas and so forth for kids, does these really cool things, has these amazing singers over the years that he's worked with. And so I have all these vocal chop samples that are just super, super cool. I'll show you things like if we go to that flute and change it to, let's see here. And with Unify, you can choose one sample and now play it across the whole keyboard. So you'll play melodies and stuff with these. Right? So that will be in the library. And then last night, I was working on making new things using some of those vocal chops and granular synthesis. So I have some things like this. Which, when put with other pads and layers and stuff, are going to be really fun. So Cloud City is what I'm deeply immersed in. Had to pop my head out to do this live stream. It's not easy. I get very narrowly focused when I'm working on a new library like this. I really want this one to be special. So because of the way Unify is working out, the way that we're designing it, what's cool with this, let's see, let's get back over here. So this is the concept that's so cool, is that we'll be able to call up a MIDI file. You will be able to do this too. This is, I can use this, but then you get to use it too. You'll have a MIDI file player and a drum kit or all these percussion maps. I've got all sorts of shakers and bells, drums, hip hop kits, all sorts of stuff, right? And you'll be able to save a layer preset that marries a MIDI file with the kit. So you just call it up and now you have rhythm playing. And so it kind of turns us into a cool rhythm box so that we can do all sorts of cool things in that way. So takes a lot of programming work to get there. We're not there yet, but it's really, really exciting what this is. So this will be coming in the future with the next free update to Unify, along with MIDI box and also Jitterbox, which is our really cool timing, random timing. So you can have a certain amount of random timing. We now have where you can go by notes. You can even set it to eighth notes. And then you have different arbitrary times or specific time patterns that you want it only to work between. And if you put it to be random, it could be tempo synced to eighth note clicks. And now it's push and pulled by 10% minus or positive of timing. So we can do, and the advantage of this kind of stuff, I'll show you real quick. let's go over here. Let's say we change this to the blue ARP and we go to 2 steps and we have it play 8th notes and we have it play chords. So it's playing that. And let's say we be Guru sampler and we just call up the piano real quick because it plays really fast attacks. You can hear it, right? So we say piano fortissimo, right? Oh, and let's get our ESX24 to not do that, right? So, and let's make this be slower because it's oh, I need to go over here and say sync to host. Let's have it do quarter notes. It's not going to work to play with rhythm. Hold on a second. So what this can do, that's cool. Say you have a groove playing with this, right? And you have, notice we have more than one MIDI effect. Even though it's one MIDI effect slot, you can still have unlimited effects in one slot. It's randomizing the timing. So you can get nice sloppy hip hop kind of rhythms. Put a drum MIDI file, any MIDI file through this, give it a little bit of jitterbox, and it is randomizing every note's timing. I could even turn off the blue ARP, option click, and it goes away now. And I can make it so that I'm playing and it's late on my playing. And it truly is random every time. So you can get this broken chord effect. So cool. Just by playing straight. So those will be some of the goodies. There's other things we're working on that are going to be included in this update that are more just smaller things. That's the big ones. But we have some things we're working on for May that are equally incredible. We're not going to dive into that too much right now. But we're not... Oh, you're not hearing Unify. Oh, it's not routed. Oh, let me do this change so that the output is to here. Sorry about that, guys. Now you should. Okay, now it's working. I'm doing the whole demo and you can't hear it. How funny is that? So here it is without, I'm just playing it straight, right? So I'm going to play a chord. Now it's broken. I'm not rolling, I'm just playing straight. Right? So that's a very cool ability to humanize any MIDI file that's coming in or anything that's happening so that it can have human random timing. Okay, sorry about that. Now you can hear it. And if you set this to an actual timing value, so we could say duplicate this and then delete one, so that let's have this one be an octave higher. And jitterbox is still on it, and there could be random timing. So even though it's an 8th note, according to my tempo, and every layer could have a jitterbox. So it's going to be a game changer to have this being able to be done in real time. And let's say that we duplicate this one more time. Say duplicate this layer and make this one be quarter note and up an octave higher. Then turn this one down so it's just like this added extra stuff. It's pretty cool. Right? And I could change this to be a totally different sound, like strings or something, of course. So that is what we were working on for the next update. And it's going to be crazy. So is this a special type of randomness? Yes. It's random on the notes, the timing of the notes, and you have control over the range, plus or minus, for both after the clock and before the clock. Now you can't do this when it's set to 50 milliseconds because this is based on timing. Right? And you can't get earlier than the time you played the actual note. So the 0 to 150 is only for post randomness. Okay, let's get rid of the second one here. The other thing that's cool with this is you can shift the whole track as a doubler. If you bring them both to the right, you're delaying the whole track, and then still add random to it. But once you go to one of the timing values, say quarter notes, it's now the middle is right here, and that's after the beat, and this is before the beats. You can randomize both or just one. If you want it only to push the time randomly, just go like this and so nobody's done this before. I can't think of an effect that's ever been made that does this. And it is so cool what it can do. So we have, it's gonna be nuts. You combine that with arpeggiators and MIDI file players and the ability to humanize the time of a MIDI file. So instead of being just a say, boom, 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 and all of a sudden it's human, it's huge. It's incredible. So plus or minus the percentage, right? How can you randomize before the beat playing? You can because it's delayed by a certain timing clock value. Even at a 64th note, you have a certain amount of time. 100% negative means no delay. Right? And then this is post. So even a 64th note, there is some time that it can go back in time to absolute zero. And as that time gets larger, when it's a quarter note, that time you can jump early. And these indicate the different markers. So we're actually going to fix the graphics of it a little bit, but you can click on these to actually have it shift to that timing value, plus or minus, let's see, that's it, to this. So it's totally new. Nobody's done this. So it opens up some whole new doors with what to do with arpeggiators and MIDI files and how they affect your music. So pretty exciting. On input, you can do randomizing once it's in your sequencer. But I can't think of anything that can do it on the input. But I could be wrong. There could be other things that have done this before, but this is coming to Unify. So thank you guys. Yeah, we're having a good time. It's fun to think of new things to add to Unify. We get comments from you guys all the time. We have like 10 pages of requests. So it's really exciting. So I'm going to end right here. Say thank you so much for joining and hanging out. The adventure keeps growing. We've got all sorts of stuff planned. And I hope you enjoyed a little quick sneak peek of... now, the power chords and chord box are things coming in the future. We're going to have a chord memory so you can play things, and it's going to do all sorts of additional things that will be insane. That'll be coming out in probably 2 or 3 months, okay? Never stops, never stops. Okay, Thank you. Let's do our shout outs. I forgot to do shout outs last week and I felt really bad. Shout out from Stockholm. Right on, Hinky. Right on. Shout out time. Shout out from PDX. Everybody stay safe. If you go out, please have a mask. Do whatever you can to keep yourself from getting this thing because it's affecting badly young people and old people, right? So there's a really sad story about a bus driver here in the States that some person was coughing in the bus without covering their mouth. And like 5 days later, he was sick. And a couple of days, or like he passed away actually because of the virus. So be safe. Shout out from Bavaria. Be safe. Everybody be safe. Big E, my man. Shout out from Thailand. Good to see you, Coxa. Germany, Denmark, Norway. I love how we're around the world. It's the coolest thing. Destin, Florida. Good to see you, Greg. Marcel in Holland. The Dog Walker in Washington. You guys are awesome. Shout out from Spain. Yes, everybody be safe. Wash your hands. You should set up donations on these chats. Updates are free and I still want to support you guys. We might do something like that. Do a little, they have a thing with YouTube where you can join and do a monthly support. That might be nice to do, but we just want you to buy our libraries. That's the best way to support us is buy the libraries. It's a benefit because you get new patches and it helps us keep developing. So if you can do that, I appreciate it. Yes, Nashville. Nice to see you guys. Good to see you, Jim. Les, good to see you in Poland, my friend. All right, everybody be well. Stay safe. Don't get this thing this week, and we'll see you next week, okay? Bye, everybody. I love this. Oh, Takita wants to say bye. Bye. See you later. Bye-bye. Take care.